welcome folks to the Eskrima Podcast. And it's time to slow down. Actually, I was supposed to do this yesterday. It's already Monday night. I usually do this on Sunday nights, but I just arrived back from Barbados for the Caribbean Martial Arts Festival that we did in Barbados, and also my vacation. It was a great time. Got to meet with some great people, trained with some people from the East Coast, from Canada, and we had a great time, of course, with the people in Barbados as well that we trained with too. So I had a great time. Big thanks to Sensei Carl Outram and, of course, Tim Hartman, as well as the other instructors there, Daniel Stokes and Greg Hintz. So I had a great time there. Had a good opportunity to relax, spend some time just training a little bit, thinking a little bit, wrote a lot of content down, some plans for the future. So it was great. But first, this is the vibe. So I want to share this with you. This is some clips and things from a fire dance that we got to see at the event. So it was pretty fun. I think the best part about this was, actually I wasn't expecting it. So normally if you're just tuning in, normally I just do some kind of meme song or something like that. But this was pretty cool. This is not necessarily the most favorite entertainment that I saw that weekend. I think I liked the trumpet guy the most. That was pretty cool. But at the same time, this was pretty spectacular, and I had a good time watching that as well. So it was pretty cool. So the first thing I want to share with you guys here, once we get past this, here is this idea. So I had this meme come across my thing, and it was essentially this idea that your competition isn't your enemy. And I thought it was really appropriate for today's particular podcast, because I'm really talking about my video, The 3 Fights. It apparently hit home for a lot of people. There's quite a few people that sent me messages, thank you, and whatnot, comments about the video. And it starts, the meme is a great way to open this up, that I think I came across this on X. And it's this idea that your enemy is your doubts, your enemy is your the stories you tell yourself. Your enemy is all the things that you manufacture and make up to justify where you are in life, or to basically give you the little permission slips you need to not try hard, not work hard. And for those of you, if it stings a little when we talk about it, that's probably because this message is for you, right? There are so many different ways that we shortchange ourselves and basically give ourselves to permission to be less than we're capable of. We make stories like, it's the color of my skin, or it's the upbringing I had, or the neighborhood I did or didn't grow up in, etc. Right? So it's all of those preconceived notions. None of those are true. There are plenty of stories of people overcoming insurmountable odds, and for us to basically cop out, sorry if this hurts, but for us to give up just because of some story that really it's just happened in the past, it's just it's kind of hard to hear when there are still children soldiers in the world, right? Dr. G, if you know who he is, who teaches martial arts, is very well known, regardless of what you might think of the art that he teaches and stuff like that. His story of being a child soldier that lifted himself up in life and travels the world and teaching seminars now, that's an inspiring story. And he certainly couldn't have done that if he just kept it at, I was a childhood soldier, so this is the best life I have. I, at Patrick's wedding, sat next to a gentleman and his wife who was literally a childhood soldier in Africa. And Somalia, I believe, if I'm not mistaken. And he eventually escaped with his child, his son, and escaped to the United States, and worked his way up to the point of he could afford to provide university for his children and own a business and all of things. He's literally someone who, if he had $10 in his pocket in Somalia, would be considered wealthy, and or at least had a lot of money. And was a child soldier, handed an AK-47 before he was even 10 years old. And now he's a business owner, married a new wife out of love instead of being forced. And he just didn't accept the story of his circumstance. Which brings us to the first fight. The first fight is getting there. The first fight is knowing that a change needs to be made and then having the courage to overcome your story, right? It's that first, second, third, and every day before class that someone has to fight to make it to class because they're afraid that they don't know, or that they'll look foolish, or that what people would think. A fight becomes different things over time. It could be something as simple as your family doesn't want you to do that because they want you to do something else. First fight's tough. And not a lot of people necessarily win that fight. And if they do win it, they don't necessarily win it over and over because they go on to other things, which might be a good thing for them, might not be, who knows. It's not the point. The point is the first fight is showing up. In fact, showing up is the first secret of martial arts. You just show up. You know what the second secret is? The second secret is keep showing up. That's it. And you'll get at least halfway decent in whatever martial art it is that you've chosen to train in. Do that year over year, day over day, month over month, week over week, year over year, and you're bound to get better than the average bear. Now, that might not matter to you because most of you are just good to be a little bit above average, but if you want to master it, you have to keep winning that first fight until you push through to the success of at least a black belt, which I do mean at least. Well, getting a black belt is an accomplishment. It's only the first. It's like getting your high school diploma, really, right? So I did record a video while I was there to kind of talk about my appreciation for the responses people gave me and stuff like that. So check that out right now while I continue doing this here. Hey Tribe, this is a pre-film for the podcast. I got a lot of really good feedback or really good engagement when it came to the 3 fights you have to fight, and then also the other video is FMA Bushido. And I get questions about like, why do we do the things that we do? Like don't hurt Patrick, all of these other things, and it takes a lot in order to film all this content for everyone. Takes away from a training. I'm actually on vacation / teaching event which starts tomorrow here in Barbados. But I want to really take a moment to appreciate people that have positive feedback, engaged in conversation rather than insults and things like that, which is common. You have to expect that on social media, but people really engaged, shared their own experiences, really appreciated that, and I want to hope that people continue to do that. The beautiful thing about like exploring different topics is what happens internally for me. The idea of 3 fights is something I've been teaching students, and then one of my favorite authors, a best-selling author, Joe Vitale, and I talk every once in a while on Instagram about that, and he said, man, that really hit home. And it's this idea that most of the fighting that you have is with yourself. That's really what the message is. And while I didn't learn this from reading Stoicism, but Epictetus also talks about this, Marcus Aurelius already talks about this in itself. It's almost as if I would have probably gotten a little bit further in my my thought if I had thought a little bit further ahead or read those classics of the great masters. I don't want to say that I think the same the way that I do. It just happened that we have the same kind of content. But it's that part. It's also partly like when you do training and things like that, people are like, it's always so hard, I can't do it, I'm so busy, I got all these other things going on. Well, you know, I'm with someone here, my girlfriend, and she's working right now, and I take the time to work as well, to be productive while on vacation, because I enjoy what I do. But those 3 fights have to do with you just deciding to train, deciding to say that. The first secret to martial arts is show up, keep training. That's second secret. Just keep training, right? So today I filmed, I think, 5 different challenges that we put out weekly on the free platform. You can go ahead, there'll be a link at the very top of the description of the video for you to join the community. We've got a lot of big things planned for 2026, and we're getting close to that right now. So you definitely want to join in, keep track of what's going on, the moves, the shifts, the changes that we do, because this content's free for our tribe, the ISEtribe, which is part of the Inayan training organization, training in the Inayan system of Eskrima, training in the Spider Dumok system. And we offer this because as an organization, as a system, my father established us in the Inayan training organization and his art as a meritocracy. So it's not about whether or not you're paying memberships, although that's part of it, because it takes time and energy for this. I'm going to have to edit these. Every minute that I edit or that I provide you in content takes me at least 2 to 5 minutes to edit. And I do a lot of the editing myself. I don't do all of it, but the podcast, I do all of that by myself. So it takes a lot of time. And I offer it free because I don't want there to be a paywall between you and the ability to learn. Although the more tactical techniques and the more tactical instructions, curated experiences do take a lot more energy and a lot more time, and there's a great value there. So I hope that you avail yourself of that, but if you're not ready, just join the community. It's no cost. All you gotta do is sign in, and you gotta sign in every day, participate in the challenges every week, be supportive of the rest of the tribe as we all grow. Everyone's going at their own pace. Everyone's fighting one of those 3 fights at any one time. And that's what makes Filipino martial arts not bullshit, because we understand the actual work. I understand if you have a job or if you take time off so that you can train and do something else, or you have to pay bills, but the reality is that you don't get better by making excuses. One of my friends, Alex, he's a CEO of a local AI in the Silicon Valley that comes and trains at our gym. He goes, and this is from a CEO, a professional person, somebody who's successful, has brought a company to funding, and he's actually producing and shipping out product. That's somebody who knows what he's talking about when it comes to work, hard work. You can either have excuses or you can have results. So yeah, I definitely really appreciate people's feedback. It's very encouraging with the different videos that we do on the 2 main account lines, right? Because we have one account that's for the in-person school, and we have an account for the online training and the seminars and everything else. And we have one account set for that. So it's definitely appreciative. So let me show you the video here. This is the video for the 3 fights.
There are only 3 fights, and the first battle you win is against yourself. In fact, that's the secret. Everyone's always looking for a secret to becoming great, to being ready, to being capable. And the truth is, there isn't a fight against you and some opponent, you and some bad guy. There's you and you. The first fight is in the parking lot when you decided to come into class. You decided that you were ready, that you didn't know, and you sought out a teacher. Every great fighter, every great martial artist starts here. That's the first fight, and you have to keep fighting that. The second fight is fighting against you and what you think is right and what your teacher teaches. The truth of the matter is we can debunk every technique because every technique has a counter, and we know that as true martial artists. To be dangerous, you must understand what is the value of the lesson. That is actually more important. And the last fight is with yourself. You gotta take the chains off, take the gloves off, and let yourself be free. The art is meant to set you free. Be dangerous.
Now, as you saw in the video, the second fight is between you and the teacher, really. It's you and authority. It's you and a source. And we really see this fight mostly manifest, if you will, this struggle, if you will, We see this especially with people that are like, well, that technique will never work, or, I know better than you know. So this partially is like also like having a beginner's mind or having an empty cup. Because, if you think you know better, you can't learn from anybody else. And here's the thing. You could even look at this like being selfish. If you take the point of view that maybe you don't know that well or as much or could know more or whatever, then you get the opportunity to get more. Get more knowledge, get more experience, get more confirmation or improvement, right? So that second fight is really a fight between you and what you think you know, you and whether or not you're willing to give authority to someone else to guide you, right? And, for me as an instructor now, you guys, some of you don't know me if you're doing this, or you've only been watching my podcast, and maybe you haven't seen all my social media, and you probably haven't been to one of my live seminars or even been a student live in person with me. So you don't know that I've been teaching for 30 something years, 33 years now almost. And I've been teaching for the last 25 years all over the world. I've taught in Asia. I've taught in the Middle East. I've taught in North America. I've taught in the Caribbean. So when I say that it's interesting to me that I usually see this fight with my students at least twice for the advanced ones. And what I mean by that is that they gotta vet me in some way and decide whether or not I have anything for them of value to them, which as a career martial artist, and if you're one of those like people that's been doing martial arts forever, you might put a comment in about this, about how everybody that you come across is your teacher. The best person to train with in class a lot of times is the beginner, right? Not because they've got some new wisdom or anything like that, but because they're going to do things that are unexpected. They're going to do things that are different. They're going to have a perspective or a way of expressing an idea that is not going to be our norm. And that's going to give us new insight, new perspective that'll add to our own personal perception. And they're great people to work with because of that, because they're going to bring a fresh, new way of looking and feeling and thinking about something that you're not going to get with your own preconceived notions of how things should or shouldn't be. So that second fight, just like the first fight, isn't something that you win once and you no longer have to fight it. Because once you learn something, you think you've got it. It's kind of funny. We were actually talking over the weekend. I spoke with a couple of people about Professor Visitation of Vietnamese Jiu-Jitsu, who worked with Moses Powell with the Sanukas Jiu-Jitsu. And one of the things that was interesting about Professor V is he wore 2 white belts, which was kind of strange because he'd like strap them together and tie them around his waist. At least this is the way the story goes. And he would do this as part of his uniform. Now, in that community, as in many communities, a red belt, as opposed to the Korean martial arts, is the highest belt you can get. It's a 10th degree black belt. And anybody who's been recognized as a 10th degree will wear a red belt. Often one that's been awarded to them in recognition of their effort, their time. And that's somebody that's been training for at least 20, usually 30, 40 years, something like that. Although there are exceptions. And he wore a white belt because he believed that he was twice the beginner. Or at least that's the point of view he took, and that's what he would tell people. He's just twice the beginner. Because he kept his mind open as a beginner mind in a way that's like the cheat code, if you will, to winning that second fight, is to just like take the point of view that you're always, forever a student, always a beginner. And some of the greatest people that I've worked with as individuals and human beings have in some way taken that mindset, which, man, I really appreciate that, man. I myself have put on the beginner's mind and taken the beginner's position a number of times over the years because I know that there's so much that I don't know, that I can learn more from, right? And I, as the teacher to my students, only hold myself responsible to be at least 2 chapters of everyone else on the textbook. If I can do that with my students, I can continue to give them value as I also keep a beginner's mind and do my best to win that second fight. Now, I want to show you this next video. This is a spot that I had with Sensei Carl, who is the organizer for the CMAF, the Caribbean Martial Arts Festival. So check it out. Here it is. All right, tribe. I'm here with Guru, or is it Sensei?
Sifu Guru Sensei.
Sifu Guru. He teaches in Toronto. He teaches in the Princess Family Arnis. And I'm going to ask him this question. What do you do to teach your students how to defeat themselves and become their greatest fan?
For myself, I find humility to start. If you're humble, you listen and you receive. Deal with you first. You're willing to hear. Then you can receive it. Start from small. You're not bigger than anybody. You take your steps. And as you do it, practice what you preach. Think before you speak. Listen. You start getting better. You start getting better. And as you grow, age-wise, and what you're doing, you realize what you know, what you can do, and what you can share. But humility first is my thing.
Humility. Humility is a good lesson. Thank you very much for the answer.
Thank you very much. Sir,
thank you for inviting me to Barbados.
Oh, you have an open invitation. You should come with an open invitation.
Yeah, you guys should come with me to Barbados next year. All right. Thank you. So thank you, Sensei Carl, for that. Really appreciate your words of wisdom in terms of humility. I agree with you. That's definitely the approach to take to help you, one, be your biggest fan, but also continue to win the first and second fight. Now, the third fight is between you and your self-doubt in the moment of, I guess it's the moment of action, the moment of proving yourself, the moment where you really test your ability against another. Now, I hope that none of you listening today get in a real fight. And by real fight, I mean one that's a surprise, something that may or may not be unwilling for you, or may or may not be willing situation for either yourself or the other, or both. That it's not a fight out of anger or fear or malice, as opposed to a competitive fight, which might have malice, right? But it's not anything more than a sporting match, which is in itself, of course, its own test. But in that third fight, it's like, do I go too far? What happens if I hurt them? What happens if I hurt myself? And then what happens is, instead of you being you in the art, you're you doubting you, you restraining you, you second guessing you. And in that third fight, what happens is, if you don't truly ally with yourself, truly become unified with yourself, and instead of being unified, you're struggling with yourself, what happens is your opponent's fighting you, and you are fighting you because of your doubt or your lack of belief in the art that you've learned, or some other part of you, like maybe you know the fight is wrong, right? And that you shouldn't be doing it. Whatever the circumstances, you're not in alignment with yourself. How are you supposed to win against an opponent who's trying to actually do you harm if you're not even your own teammate, on your own side? So this is a difficult fight. Now, like I said, between the first, second, and third fight, you're still fighting yourself. Every time. And it is not over. You continue to go through this cycle. As you acquire new skills, as you come under new circumstances, so on and so forth, you're still stuck in this situation where you're struggling with yourself. And when you become complacent, that's when you sneak up on yourself and you're in a bigger fight with yourself. So first, second, third fight. First fight's just showing up. Second fight is succumbing to the lesson, surrendering to knowledge, opening yourself up and having a beginner's mind. That's your second fight. And your third fight is being aligned with yourself, being truly unified. And if you are unified, mind, body, and soul, you cannot be stopped. You are unstoppable, unshakable, inevitable, undeniable. These are the things that people in martial arts strive for as far as an ideal. When you get past, can I punch good? Is my stretch good? Do I look good on camera, etc.? And I get back to how can I become the best version of me? Because at least for some of us in martial arts, that's really what it is. The best version of myself. How can I be the best version of myself in terms of my physical capability, my mental capacity, and my emotional maturity, right? To make good decisions under stress, to be able to function at the highest ability. That is generally what the real goal is of martial arts. And that comes from you being able to conquer yourself. I want to leave you with this last idea. It's the hidden secrets video that I did. So check out the video first.
Some truths stay hidden until you're ready. The thing is that you need to understand first is that any test that's on a calendar that you can study for in martial arts isn't a test. The true test is when we pressure you without any schedule. The second secret is success is not the path to dangerous behaviors. Success is not the path to dangerous skills. Failure is. You must fail. It must be terrible. It'll suck. You'll hate it. You must embrace that. And walking through that fire, you'll come out the other side dangerous, formidable, respectable. When it comes to true martial art, it isn't the trophy. That's for your ego. It isn't the award. It isn't the title. It's not even the belt that you put around your waist, whatever color it is. It's about your character and it's about your heart. And you can't teach that without pressure, without pain, and just a little bit of fear. Be dangerous.
Now, what I want to say here is that some of the greatest secrets of martial arts are revealed by continuing to fight these fights and winning and being unrelenting in your pursuit of your greater, higher, and more capable self. So I hope you enjoyed that. This is the last video I'm going to show you right here. This is the second video I did on my balcony in Barbados. I hope that you enjoy it. Check it out.
All right, tribe. One other thing, we did another video and it was like, start off with like some truths stay hidden in martial arts until you're ready. And I'm really talking about these three fights that we were talking about earlier, but from the point of view of what those fights are really like, those fights are you fighting through your own failures, your own shortcomings, defeating yourself when it comes to being able to withstand hardship. Martial arts isn't just the flashy techniques, and if you think martial arts is about getting in the ring and getting a belt or getting a trophy or medal, well, yeah, that's part of it, but like there's plenty of people that have done that kind of martial arts that quit, and 30 years later they're fat, old, and can't move, and they talk about the good old days. Remember, the day that you're living today is the good old days. It depends on what you use it for that makes it a good old day, right? So it's important for you to think about these three fights, and the truth of it is that if you're just trying to prepare on a calendar, I'll do it someday or whatever it is, you're not going to achieve anything notable and nothing that you want to tell your grandkids about, right? So my best friend, he lives his life sometimes about like, what would this story be like to my grandkids, right? What a great way to think about things, is to seize the day, if you will. Carpe diem, carpe noctem, I think it is, for seizing the night. And it's also an expression of that old idea, memento mori, which is what the ascetics, or rather not the ascetics, the Stoics thought of, which is remember that you die someday, so live a good life, right? So the truths and the secrets of martial arts are within those three fights, and defeating yourself, defeating your doubt, defeating
your self-incriminations, making sure that you're not the villain or at least a bystander in your life, but the hero in your life. But that takes dedication, that takes discipline, which we talked about in last Friday's podcast, right? That loyalty and dedication and discipline, right? But it's a loyalty to yourself and your goals, to be a good person, discipline and dedication to your mission, to achieve something and bring true value to those around you. This is an important part of being a great martial artist, being a great human being, which is what ultimately the martial art that my father founded was trying to do. My father took very little time in talking down any other school, martial arts instructor, or anybody of note. He spent most of his time on building. He taught me that we don't take down others to build ourselves up. That's the sign of a weak man. And he would tell me, you are not a weak man. And I will tell you, neither are you weak. You just have to choose to pick up your strength. I don't know if I'll edit this, but I've been talking to these two birds here that are just watching me talk. It's kind of funny. All right, that's it for today's podcast. Remember to stay sharp and stay dangerous.